Hello, everyone.
Hello, jazz hands.
Jazz hands, love it, love it. All right, welcome to the episode of the Capcom Podcast. I hope you guys have had a great past 2 weeks. I'm Cameron.
I'm Justin.
And we have someone new here today. Wahoo! London, why don't you introduce yourself?
Woo-woo!
I am London. Yes, that's my real name. My nickname. Yes, it's London. So please. I'm an author, actor, screenwriter. I've published one novel, fiction, which I just so happen to have right here.
What?
Yes.
Wow!
Yes, Nightmares, Visions, and Smithing. 3 fantasy short stories that is in English, but it's currently sold in only German-speaking countries, and you can buy it on Amazon and Talia.de. So there's that.
Whoop, whoop.
So we have representation of German fiction today.
But
in English, but
in language.
Well, as opposed to American fiction, which is a topic.
Okay.
I goofed it a little bit. I hope you could forgive me by the end of the podcast.
Wow, actually,
I was it's halfway correct.
it
It was just bad. It was just bad, Justin. Like, it's not the worst that you've done, but it is still just bad. You know.
What is the worst I've done? Can you think of examples?
I truly don't know.
I would love if you could share with the audience times in which I've more severely messed up for at my expense.
I didn't feel that you severely messed up. You just told a bad joke. Because I knew what you were going for. It was just a bad joke.
There's always next time. There's always next time. As in within the next 30 seconds, I'm sure. Go ahead, Cam.
London is as he said, he's also an amazing actor and screenwriter. And we've actually made a movie together, False Friends, which is right here. And
Cameron, is the wall complete?
The wall is. I was about to talk about that after I introduced London, Justin. Let me finish with his introduction.
I didn't know it was going to be a whole topic. Okay. Okay.
And,
0 for 2 today on Justin's part.
and when I was looking at the podcast originally, I was like, who should I also add? And then after Anthony and Seb came along and joined us, like I was like, London might actually be a really great addition to this podcast. And so I really wanted him on. I want to have a reason to bring him on. And so we talked, and he was free today. So welcome, I guess. Hopefully this won't be your last time. I think we'll be very excited to have you on in the future.
The start of something new.
Now, London, have you been on a podcast before?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Have you been on a live podcast before?
Not live. No.
Okay.
No pressure.
Welcome.
Heavy editing.
Well, we could go into the YouTube editor and clip out all my mistakes, right?
100%. 100%. Okay. Even though it's live, later it'll be gone later.
I've done so much editing. It was like, hi, my name is London.
Gets the job done.
Like this is great.
So yeah, comments. Let me know if you see any edits that happen post live stream, which I'm definitely gonna do. 100%.
It's a whole process.
But yes, Justin, I did finish the wall. I will do this real quick. I will get
Cameron, did you finish the wall?
You just asked that question.
But I wanted to be relevant.
So but yes, I did finish my wall. I am so stoked about this. Like, this is so cool. 8 of my own movie posters up behind me. Honestly, this is a great backdrop for the podcast in general. Like,
minimalist approach today, but I could slap on things that I've worked on in the past back there. I was gonna see if there's something in reach. I might do a tissue commercial one day. This glove looks like it's cool and matrixy, so just imagine this is kind of back here the whole time.
Gotcha.
I didn't have any band-aids to put it up on the wall with or anything. So
I have
Oh,
my air
people-
fryer.
Air fryer, love that. We love
fryer.
air
Whoa.
fryers. Great invention. Yeah, that was a voice crack. That was absolutely terrible.
now I'm Justin.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were introducing the voice crack. Sorry about
Justin,
that.
why don't you go into what you've been doing the last 2 weeks? What kind of is going on?
I mean, as always, just so incredibly busy that I'm like trying to find a moment to breathe. So, I mean, the main thing this week around was I got a new job. I finished on an old show. I'm on a new show at Titmouse, which is a animation production company studios dude. And I mean, adjusting to any job is a fun big old ordeal. But I was able to find this much time to fit in a movie this week amongst my like 4 jobs that I was doing this week. Right before I fell asleep last night. So kind of on a roll here.
I have to just be honest. I love the conversation we had a few days ago. No, like last week,
Okay.
where it was like, it was you had called me because we had like tried to get each other. And you're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to work on things because I thought I'd be off these next few weeks.
Yes.
But haha, funny story. No.
I mean, I was like, okay, well, I'm wrapping up on a show. Some plans for jumping into other productions fell through. And I was just like, well, maybe this is my time to just focus on the projects that I've been only working on slightly less than full time. Because I have a few jobs. But then very last second an opportunity came up, and I'm like, I mean, it looks fun and money. So okay, I'm in. Which I could tie back into the movie, but I know it's too early, Cam. I don't want to make the same mistake as The Wall, so I'll hold off on that.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, London, we didn't see you 2 weeks ago, but what have you been doing the past 2 weeks?
I wish we did, but
I wish we did as well, but you know.
Oh, thank you. I feel so humble.
big heart.
So yes. Well, I decided to get back into acting.
Woo!
Yes. Theater acting, my the love of the live audience and instant gratification.
Love to hear it. Welcome to live.
Yes. Yes. Anything can happen.
Ooh.
But yeah, so I'm just back in that. It's the theater club at my uni, so I'm gonna go and get in there. I might not do a major role because the play they're doing, I won't. Well, for them, I'm not sure how much I can reveal on their side, but it's a pretty dense play, and it's kind of like a lot of effort. So I'm probably gonna do a minor role and do more backstage stuff just to ease back into it, and just yeah.
Well, there are no small parts; there are only small actors. So, with that in mind, I think that is a saying that every role is big unless you're an egotistical person who then finds they need to be something big. There you go. There you go, Justin. You got
it's
it.
Together in my noggin. I was like,
bit.
are we calling London small because he carries big presence? He, him, right? But because I like Cameron, you have like just so much headspace that I'm like, okay, well,
I do.
Tiny one on screen.
So
and
here's
one's
my
the
thing.
bigger one on
I
screen.
need to get a new chair, and this has been like a problem that I've had for a while. But you'll see, I've just pulled it all the way up. It's gonna start to sink in like the next.
So
5 minutes.
whatever camera you're using, that's not adjustable.
It is, but I want the second row of posters.
Oh, of course, you gotta get the full. Okay,
Right.
so we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think maybe we just pull out a whole bunch. No, push in a whole bunch. Okay, we get just your face and kind of get the posters surrounding it.
Or you know what I do? I take a photo of this and then green screen myself.
Oh, golly. I think you're using the big boy brain there.
Let's see how well that works, but yes. That's life.
FYI, I'm a lot more short than I seem.
How tall are you? I might have to convert.
I am 5'6".
I'm 5'6", up top.
Okay. Hey.
High fives into camera. Love that. I was like, let's grab a.
And then
let's
Cameron's
find
like twice that tall, so
Yes.
I'm
so
6'3".
I don't know how
so,
Cameron can
you
hear us
know,
from all the way up there. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I know. But
It's not
yeah,
nice to punch down, but punching up on the other hand.
ridiculous. Can't. But yeah, so that's kind of I don't know what I've been doing for the past 2 weeks. I've just been living, doing stuff. Writing my thesis. I finished my first draft yesterday night at like 1 a.m.
Oh, Ray!
Start edits on that.
Now we know to all applaud whenever Cameron says anything. Say another thing, Cameron.
And
Yay!
yeah, and that's kind of been the major thing this week. It's just starting to finish that up because I want to try to do my defense in July, which would be a ton of fun. But so yeah, that's it. But we are not here to talk about our lives as much as we like talking about our personal lives. We have a movie.
Once we reach the 11-minute 30-second mark, we must move into movie mode.
Honestly, I feel like this is the earliest we've moved into movies.
Good.
Like sometimes we do this conversation for like 20 minutes, and it's like, oh well,
people care about the movies. We gotta get to movie mode.
So yeah, this week was American Fiction, Oscar-winning movie for best original screenplay, or no, best adapted.
Adapted. Yeah.
It was adapted, right? Why didn't I?
It was Erasure. That was the original title of the book.
Percival Everett.
That's right. Yes.
It came out in Germany like early March, like a week before the Oscars. And I watched and I was like, we need to talk about this movie. This is a really great film. We've had people that have come in and commented that they want us to watch this film. And so here we are watching it. And yeah, first talking like a full technical level, I really love this movie. Like it's done really, really, everything's done really, really well. The acting is really, really great. The writing is really, really great, ironically. Or not ironically, but funny enough, seeing it's based on writing, like the writing being great is a good plus. Yeah, I want your like first initial like thoughts, just like overall.
Well, I could step in and say, a few days ago, I still hadn't seen the movie yet. I asked a friend who has seen it, do you think I'll like this movie? Because we just have the same opinion typically on everything. And then he goes, Sterling K. Brown's in it, and I go, really? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna like this movie. No, I just initial thoughts. I had a great time with this movie. I love Jeffrey Wright's character, Monk.
So good.
I love. I just want to dive into that stupid genius brain, and for all the like fun that we have with him and all the flaws we see in him. I'm just like, I want to see more of your story. I just what a little time. I had a lot of fun with it. How about you? I'm trying to figure out where to point.
Okay, first impressions. Jeffrey Wright has one of the best voices I've heard.
He does. He truly does.
He's like, no wonder he's the Watcher in Marvel's What If.
Yes! I recognized his voice right away. Didn't know why. And then like halfway through the movie, I'm like, okay, quick pause. I'm going to look this up. And I'm like, the Watcher. What a guy. Yeah, go on.
No, and I'm so glad he was nominated because his performance was excellent. And there's so much to discuss because there's like so many it's such a layered movie.
For sure.
And I mean, when I watched it, I didn't do any background into it. I just knew about, it was nominated and it won Best Adapted Screenplay. But I was watching about halfway through, I'm like, oh, this is a novel. This is adapted from a novel. I was like, right away, I could tell. Like, there's so much going on. There's so many things. This has to be a novel. And then by the very end, I looked it up.
It's so layered?
Yeah, it is. No, there's so many things going on, and it's, God, I don't know how much we get into it, but it's it's doing multiple things. It's doing like different things at the same time. It's telling And that's what I thought. I was like, okay, yeah, this has to be, because I'm sure the book was doing that too, but now as a movie is doing that. It's like it's not only is it adapting what the I feel like what the book was probably doing, but it's also expanding upon it from what the book was doing.
Right.
By being in it something of itself. I'll get, like I said, we're gonna get more.
Well, we could get into it now because I think, once we get out like initial impressions, and maybe if you, Cameron, want to mention like what the movie is about for those who haven't seen it, then we could snap right into the actually talking in detail about it.
Yeah, it's about I forget what Jeffrey Wright's character is. I got to be honest. Monk, who is a professor, kind of being disenfranchised by this idea of like the political correctness of African American culture, and like how like we like gotten overly sensitive, and basically like as a joke writes like what is considered like a stereotypical African American story, and then gets famous or then which gets infamy through it because he wrote it under this like pseudonym name. And so it creates this like issue of his own like character development where he on the one hand hates the book, but also knows that it's like gonna make him so much money. So where does he kind of fall within that?
Give the people what they want.
And it's so fat. Like it's so fascinating. Yeah. But on that point, I think we can go to some spoiler-rific time.
Okay.
Yeah, London as a white man myself, and I know how Justin feels.
You?
What? I was like, a lot of the time, like, oh, do I feel called out? And like that's like 100% of like what the whole point of the movie is. It feels like it's like this like idea of like we're appropriating the idea of misery within a minority, and I want to know your kind of thoughts on that, both as like being African American, but also being a writer that is African American.
Yeah, once I heard you're a writer coming in, I'm like, yes.
Which I'm like, when you go into it, you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be fun. So I really want to know like your thoughts on this, both on like how real is this, which I kind of think it's pretty prevalent and real, and like your kind of thoughts on how it's also handled.
It is so okay. I'll be honest. I think the first thing that came to my mind was how much I enjoy Get Out, because the movie Get Out. Because when it was created, it kind of set the stage for understanding what liberal racism is, and showing that racism doesn't have to necessarily be just about overt things. It can be more subtle. And this movie, and also how complicated it is, not just from racism being done by by white people or the majority of a group, but also the internalized racism, or like the complicated nature of it within the African American community itself, or Black community. And like Jeffrey Wright, like there's so many moments where I've went through so much of I've gone through so many of like the steps, and thinking the idea of, oh, I'm above it all, I don't see race, and then literally the moment he says that, a taxi passes him by. It's like little things like that. It's so important to be like, you want to say, okay, can I, I'm in this comfortable academic sphere. We all can say, oh, we're above it, we're past it all. But reality, it's more intricate and complicated, and it's not that. And he's trying to look at race, and it's hard to be like, I don't want to write. And see, they say these are hood movies. He's writing about hood stories. These things were like popular in the 90s and 2000s. And there was stuff which was like, okay, it's stuff that was entertaining, and people thought like, oh, they described a different part of the United States, a different culture, something far, and it was like almost like exoticism, and now like with Jeffrey Wright, I'm sorry, Monk, the Monk character, I kind of understand. It's like I've never experienced that, and if I'm gonna, people writing about it, they're saying this is the way the world is, this is the way the society is. But this isn't my society. And that's what I'm saying is the movie or his story, the story within the story, technically in the film,
Right.
he's basically saying this story, which I have, which is about an African American family. This has nothing to do with the hood stuff. There's no hood element to it, but it still has these same dramatic beats and elements that makes for an engaging story. And so, yet it still touches on racism, and it still touches on the African American experience within like the U.S. And so that's why I find it's very interesting. It's like he's saying that, he's this dramatized this other, hood movie or hood stories. That's the fiction. That's the thing that he's made up. But his life, his experiences, that's the real thing. And yet and he's saying like, see, it's still there, and it's not a whitewash thing. It's just real. And then they touch on these are African American issues or Black issues and whatnot. But it's just done, and it's very dramatic. I mean, within like every one of the things that happens to them could be its own movie. The like there are spoilers. The grandmother. Sorry, I'm going on right here.
Good. No, this is great. I love this.
Vibing with it. Let's go.
Okay, like the matriarch of the family, the mother having dementia, his sister dying abruptly, and that scene is amazing. Yeah. Like just oh my god, that moment when she's in the bed, you just see the feet. I'm just like, oh my god, that is just the juxtaposition of like the human life turning into an object. Like oh my god, it's like just the abruptness of it, having the scene and then like the brother going through coming out of the closet, the father. The way he dies, he kills himself. And
it's like the curse of the family started there, yeah.
Yeah, and then like the nanny, the nanny, yeah. She goes off and she gets married at an older age, and it's like every one of these, and then like his own story, him trying to, having to deal with this, like every one of these stories could be its own, and that's the thing. It's almost like it's a very dramatized life, but it's actually, if you look at these beats, it's just as dramatic as a hood movie. But it's just not a hood movie. So right. It's like if you watch a hood movie, all these things happen. Like, oh, this person gets shot, this person died. There's so many dramatic beats in there. And his life is just as dramatic, but just not in a hood way.
Right. And if he were to, in the context of the movie, write his life into a book, it wouldn't, no one's gonna buy it. Yeah. And that's the big issue here, that he's kind of crammed into a corner about the kinds of stories he could tell. And it's rough. And I mean, they get to it right away, and then from there kind of start to show some other sides to that. But it's still the striking conversational points there.
It just felt, because like talking about being crammed to a corner of just like writing, but also like what you want to say and what you want to talk about. Yeah. Like that whole first scene of this white girl going, "Oh, I don't feel comfortable with this word," and then Monk going, "Well, I think if I've gotten past them, you can as well." I'm like, that is like absolutely brilliant. And it is such like also an important thing of like, we're like trying to ignore things because we aren't affected by them personally, but because we think others are. But like even in academic context, it's important. And I think like especially talking about this movie academically also should be very important, because it talks about this like idea of like putting people into a box, right? Yeah. And talking about stereotypes, not only what kind of stories they're allowed to tell, but also what kind of stories become their own story, like our stories of their own culture.
And then among all the drama, they still find ways to make this movie really funny. I just love every single escapade where Monk is like, how am I going to screw with these guys right now? And it's going to all fall apart when I screw with them. There's no way they'd go for this ridiculousness. And every time they do, it's a lot of fun. And then, we didn't even say Coraline. Oh gosh. I thought the movie was very bold for just not having him get back with Coraline at the end, or at least in the reality of the film. There's some alternate endings there at the end.
The La La Land-esque ending of this movie, just
we're not gonna do a rom-com. Oh, but the shooty, I love it. That's the
You wanted to say something, London.
No, I was just thinking like we were talking. Well, backtrack a little bit about academia, and I think that's something like with academia and the literary award. It's this kind of like idea that okay, we're not as diverse, so we'll get some token people, and and also with academia, it's this idea that we're we're in this age where we're above it, and academia can be just a free and open space where everyone can express their ideas and everything. When in reality, we're still, especially academia, it still falls into this race idealism, this universalization or universalism, which is like basically Westernization, Western ideas. Oh, Western ideas, that's the universal ideas. So these are all universal ideas. So you can all, yeah, just express it. Everything's okay. It's fine. We're above, talking about blah, blah, blah. So or talking about, race in a way that's, nuanced. We can do more black and white, and, we can talk about it as a past thing, and, and we can talk about other stuff in more philosophical terms, whatnot, which funny enough, it seems like Jeffrey, keeps calling Jeffrey Monk's character.
Thelonious.
Yeah, Thelonious. That's true. His real name, which is even funnier. His actual name is Thelonious.
His real name is the pretentious one. Well, pretentious like vibe one.
I know.
I love it. And then people just call him Monk. They don't, they're grazing past the genius that is on the inside, as he would like people to recognize.
Oh, that is great. Okay, well, your name is too pretentious. We'll call you Monk.
It clicks because they wait towards the end, at least as far as I recall, for the mother to say, "Oh, monkey," and I'm like, "That's so cute. Is that why he's called Monk?"
That's true. Yeah. I didn't even make that connection. I forgot. Glad you brought it up.
I think that was the last like one-on-one real scene together too. Before like the wedding and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's before. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, well, it was basically just that whole like they would monkey. Just even he thinks that an era like can they be above it all and such and like in that scene where he's in the bookstore and his books, which are about Greek mythology, are in African American studies.
Oh, when he has that meltdown, oh my gosh, like hilarious.
I mean, that's so funny. That's so wrong. Oh my god, this is like, but yeah, it's the literary world. Oh, literary world, academic world. Oh, we're so above it all. We're still gonna, but you're still gonna be, just because you're a black writer, we're gonna put you in the black section.
Oh gosh.
Like, no, segregation is gone.
That hit hard.
I don't know. I really love this. I thought this was a great movie. It was
yeah, go on.
Especially ranking when I like did my internal ranking of all the best picture nominees this year, like it was very high on my list. Mm. And is canon on this show that people know that I did not like Anatomy of a Fall. Like that is a very well-known fact at this point. I think I read about it on multiple occasions. This one was one of my top 3, I think. Like it was really like great film. Like just like, so good. So amazing.
This just came to mind, both of you in the film world. Have you ever met a Wiley before? That's the director guy in the movie. Have
Not
you ever met
personally, but I know of.
Yeah,
it's because it feels real. But I'm like,
this like, oh, I have this grunge story that's like real and down to earth, and like that's what I need. Like, yeah, 100%. That's like trying to find the authentic story and like just like not really looking at. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this.
Daniel, you did it again.
I saw that comment on the side and stopped.
Okay.
Well, let's see what Jacqueline has to say. Cameron,
she liked the movie.
Yay! And we like you, Jacqueline.
I just think on like I forget what my point was. It was a great movie. It was just Like the dark, I love dark humor, and the fact that it really leaned into it, just like absolutely amazing. Oh yeah, Wiley type. This like idea of like getting the like super like dark and like being like, wow, like this like you are the most fake
Yeah,
human
it'd
of
be
all.
like,
You're the
wow.
most unreal person of all time, trying to be like, I know what authenticity looks like, and it goes over his head that it's not authentic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
I
know.
mean, the thing is, I haven't met people. I never like personally met anyone like that, but I've when you will look at movies, you can kind of tell the person, like through the director, like, when they say they interviewed people, they
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, they if even if it's true, they were effing with you. It's just like, yeah, this is like these are real people. They act like yeah, these.
Oh yeah, no, they act like that. You know, I don't want to crap on the industry too much, but you know, it really does seem that like people just like want to find the true real story, and it's like, wow, that's what we're going for. But you know, it is.
So there's also Centaura, who is on like the flip side of that conversation that we're having with about Monk, where she's just like, "Yeah, I live, I live in a society." You know, the movie Joker is like, "All right, you should watch out. We live in a society." But in this movie, you have a character like Sinatra who's like, "No, well, we live in a society. I'm gonna do my research on what the people want. I'm gonna give them a book that they want,
Sure.
and." But I'm gonna fill it with as much soul as I can get away with. And Monk's like, screw off. But I think that it was very interesting getting to see that is that other side of it, because like Monk kind of like he he cares so much about depicting reality that he kind of ignores the fact that he kind of has to live in reality, if that
Right.
makes sense.
I think. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't know, just that it's
I
go
yeah.
Cameron
No,
Spector,
you
please,
please,
Cameron,
Justin, please
please.
go.
I
You
need
keep
you to say
making
more
red.
words, Cameron.
Keep making more breaks. I think you're done, and then you keep talking when I start to talk.
I'll be a better podcaster next time.
You're doing
I'll
great.
take a
You're doing
training
great,
course. I'll
Justin. We
have it
love
all
you.
together. Maybe both of us should just hush, and then London could just lead the way to a brighter tomorrow.
Oh no, that's not.
I think the point that I was going to say, and will say is, I think as filmmakers, we are telling stories, and I think the hardest part about telling stories is that the best way for people to really associate with stories and to really be affected by stories is when they seem real, is when they seem authentic, it's when they seem true. And so with that in mind, like there's two approaches to it, right? Like, or a couple, but like I think the two main ones that this film tries to kind of bring in is like, on the one hand, you basically do what is authentic, and you are yourself and you tell your own story basically over and over again. Or you put in heart and soul into the characters and you put them in a different setting. So like, yeah, it might not be what you've experienced, but it's still authentic to you and you can feel the authenticity. Now, I find it very interesting how Monk comes in with this very inauthentic story and goes, here, this is absolute trash, and then everyone else goes, this is brilliant.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, go on.
And I think that kind of shows the like underlying racism of like, oh, we're not going to look at the detail of this story, but it seems like it's authentic enough, and so because it isn't our story, we're going to make it we're going to feel as it's authentic. And that's what the whole like literary war like argument like kind of boils down to. It's like the three white people are like, this is authentic, and the two black people are like, it's not really, it's total bullshit.
And I do think that's a big part of the argument, but I think there's also a very interesting element to the movie that's also kind of saying, yeah, this person is spouting that, you should be able to tell, authentic, real stories, which is, important and true. But on the flip side, Monk is also kind of ignoring his personal stories. The whole beginning of the movie is like, Monk, you've not been in touch or making connections with anyone in your life, and you have isolated yourself. And it leads me to think like, is the movie kind of trying to touch on like is he unable to find his own realness in stories, in the case that like if he doesn't if he isolates himself from actually having experiences, how is he supposed to write about experiences, if that makes sense?
Yeah,
And
but the only issue there being we hear multiple times his writing is brilliant.
it is, yeah.
Like, which should
So maybe if
You
that
know,
is
like-
the goal, it could have been tied in a little more. But it does seem like so much of the movie is, well, you care so much about telling real stories. It would be good of you to start making, like, finding authenticity in your own life and making, your own connections to actual real things happening in your life. And by the end of the movie, he's embracing, okay, I'm going to tell my own stories, and I'm going to embrace my personal circles in a way that he's been kind of putting off for years, and to real detrimental consequences. The moment he starts to connect with his sister again, it's done.
right.
And he's just a touch too late to really be able to embrace that. And he's spent years and years just not doing that. But also, obviously this point would land better if the movie was kind of like painted a picture of, if he had established these connections better and had lived a more fulfilling life with the people in his life, that maybe his stories would be connecting with audiences more. But really, it does just come down to the system that's holding him back in that regard.
Yeah, I mean that's why I still like the movie is so much about the systems. I mean like I said, I was talking before about liberalism and universalism and all that, and academia. It's every single boardroom. He's always the minority. The minority is always in the minority. Like when he's talking to the academics, like even the first meeting, he's meeting with other professors. He's the only black man there, or black person there. Then when they're doing a literary award, he's one of two, and then the majority overrules him. So it's always in that sense where it's like, oh, in the literary sphere, everything's equal, and then everything's even, and then in the academic sphere, everything's even. That's what they always say, but in actuality, it says like, oh, everything's fair now, but we're still a majority. So technically, your argument isn't important. That's what that's like. That's
what they said. Majority rules, 3 against 2 during that one meeting.
I think the most crass part about that is it's like they are overruling the minority on a story about said minority who voices concerns about the problems of said book in the context of said minority. It's like it's like, oh no, that's not how it is. Yeah. As if like it just isn't.
It happens to him twice, because when he loses or he gets like suspended on his job because of it, and then the book. So twice.
Yes.
It just
right.
It just keeps happening.
Poor little monk. Wishing him all the
It's absolutely wild. So, what other do we have? Anything else? What else do you guys have to say?
One little thing. I kind of wish the movie, not wish, but like I was more like I was curious if the movie would go in a direction in which towards the end he would then use this established audience that he's made through his I forget what the pseudonym was, but Stag Stud something like that. Stag Lee. I was wondering if he'd use that established audience to then publish a new book that is really personal and meaningful under that same pseudonym, and be able to more aptly get something very important to him and something meaningful to the masses. I guess if the core of this movie is authenticity, that they needed to go with the ending that they went with, where he needs to, well, they imply sort of through some of the endings that it's important for him by the end to reveal the truth about himself. But I guess in the reality of the film, he kind of just walked on out and didn't really do much with that. But he does come to the conclusion, at least with his brother, that authenticity is the most important thing. That's like the after the wedding stuff, and that's a very pivotal scene. But
he tells the director, and he must have told the director that was the truth, because they make a movie about it.
Yes, there's
Right,
layers.
like,
There's layers of reality to the film.
like the whole it really had a Lala-esque ending of like what is real and like what isn't, and like kind of doubling back and everything. It was very interesting. Um, but anyway, I think we should rate that
That movie.
movie.
Is it rate the movie or rate that movie?
I think we keep saying that, but it is the.
I think we gotta go with what rolls off the tongue. We got in the future we'll call it rate that movie. Apologies to the audience for having to endure such confusion. I know you want specificity in your
100%,
Capcom
yes.
podcast categories.
That's why you're here. It's the specificity and the seriousness of the Capcom podcast.
I've never been not serious in my whole life.
I know. We all know that, Justin. You were the most serious.
I'm a serious little dude.
I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was one of my highest rated films of the year. It was an amazing film. London, why don't you go next? You don't have to go out of 5. You don't have to go out of anything. You can give your own rating as you see fit.
Yeah, star ratings. I've always been on the fence with them. I've done them.
Finally someone who no one else in this podcast seems to get it. But
yes, but just the way you do it, it's ridiculous.
I give it a 16.
Out of
out
of a head nod.
Out of a head nod. 16. Cool. All right.
Movie's great. Watch the movie. Experience the movie. The experience is more valuable than numbers. But also, it's a 16 for sure.
Out of what? We don't know. London, what do you? How do you rate the movie?
So, just some quick summation. Love the performances. Love the substance. Love the layers. I'm gonna give this. Okay. All right. I'll bring old school. I used to do an old podcast.
Ooh.
Do a figurative rating.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna give this 9 taxis passing me by out of 10.
9, 10.
Yeah.
Interesting. I love that. That's really
Looping
cool.
it back together.
Yeah, that was the movie. So before we go on to the next point, I did forget to mention something that happened to me in the past 2 weeks. I totally forgot this was last week.
For seriouslys?
For seriouslys. So for anyone that goes to the movies pretty regularly, you might have seen that there was this movie that was coming out called The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. And I was lucky enough to go to the European premiere of that with Blunt and Gosling in attendance. I was like 3 feet away from it. It was really cool. Also, by the way, Anthony is a fangirl, like an absolute fangirl of Emily Blunt. And I sent him photos, and he literally said to me, "She has my heart."
Anthony's
I will
like
quote
that.
this. I will quote. So I send him a couple photos, and then he goes, he sends 3 hearts, 3 heart eyes emojis. She has my heart. I sent another one. She looks incredible. You're so close. Then I sent a few more, and I sent one of Gosling. Then like the Jonah Hill meme.
What?
And he goes, "Shut the front door." That's Ryan Gosling too. I'm obsessed.
Aw. Well,
So,
thank you for sharing your private conversations for our
Of course.
entertainment.
Anything for the podcast. And so
I mean that's exciting.
it was so cool.
Those two are kind of on top of the world right now as well.
100%. And the movie was a ton of fun. I recommend you go see it. Don't expect like an Oscar level like deep movie like we just talked about, but like it was a ton of fun. And I
that
really
would have been interesting, actually.
it
turned out
I really truly enjoyed it. And so, but because of that, and I was talking about this a couple weeks ago. At the beginning of the month, I went to go see a laser light show edition of Blade Runner. I was like, this is cool. And so I want to talk about how do you best see a movie?
Oh, so Cameron could do cool transitions, but when I do it,
Was your transition cool though?
it's epic every time.
Of course. Between IMAX and ScreenX and iSense and watching it on a phone, on an airplane, doing a drive-in movie, an open-air theater, and like I want to just talk about the like different ways of watching movies
Mhm.
and just like super analyze what it feels like and what your favorite way of watching a movie is. So I want to ask you guys, is there a favorite way for you guys to watch a movie? Like, period. If money were an option, if nothing were an option, how would you go see a movie every time?
Picture this.
Okay. We're gonna put you big.
Nice rainy day. You drive up to the movie theater. The screen doesn't matter because really, who cares? Sound quality doesn't matter. Like whatever, just a normal, basic little movie theater, but it's empty, and you get to sit right in the middle of the theater. And if you need to cry, you don't feel any judgments. And that's that's how I spent my summer. That's my essay. Thank you, teacher.
So you just want a regular movie theater and you just want to go in and be alone.
But also, I want the movie theater to be next door. Because, like, I can't.
Got you. So
I
you
don't
don't drive
wanna
far.
go places. Because if I have to drive, and I'm like, well, I'll watch something on my laptop instead.
Jacqueline loves that.
No, yeah, I mean, I just, that is a very long way of saying, like, yeah, the IMAX and all that. Like, yeah, it's a plus. It's nice. I just, it doesn't really matter much to me. I'm just like, I will just appreciate movie. But I imagine it's very different for, say, Cameron, who, whenever we talk about a movie, the first thing he says is, on a technical level, which aren't words that come into my brain at any point in the conversation. So
I really love IMAX. I think that IMAX screen is just so amazing. Like just going in there and like, yeah, it's the extra like little bit at the top and bottom, like that's very cool. Also, there should be tissue box.
yeah,
Well,
for like crying and stuff. Yeah.
Right, I got you.
Or if you laugh
like,
too hard and like cough up blood or something.
Like the sheer like
that's a good comedy sign.
Coughing up blood is a good comedy sign, Justin.
That's how hard you were laughing. Duh.
The London close eyes like no is just all that I need to know about this.
We talked about this before the podcast, London. This is the time for you to go right into the microphone. little
I gotta love the big screen. Like it's the huge screen where you see everything. What movie did I watch recently? I've sometimes watched movies multiple times now just to see it in multiple formats, just to be like, ooh, this is interesting.
Like theater and laptop and phone
100%
and 3DS.
And 3DS, 100%. I'm trying to think of a movie. So I mean, when I saw Dune Part 2 in IMAX 70mm, that was like absolutely amazing. Like seeing the big screen and you can see the grain of the film is so beautiful. I am a sucker for big screen. And like the audio stuff is very cool, but like big screen is a lot of fun. London, I want to know your take on this.
So I am similar to Justin, but
London, we're besties now.
One thing that we're completely opposite on is I like audiences.
Mm-hmm.
I like a theater. Like some of like my most, I wouldn't say the most entertaining, but some moments that I just remember were when I was at a festival, or when I was with the crowd and we were watching, and just that energy, and just when it's like always like I'm going there and everyone, a bunch of film nerds, and everyone's laughing at the meme or laughing at like the iconic moments, and we're all like making jokes, hearing little jokes here and there, snickering and everything, and like, but everyone knows. But usually in certain festivals, everyone knows when to like, oh, this is the best part. Everyone be quiet. They got it. Everyone's in the know, like that stuff. And also,
are you a premiere guy, by the way, London? Like, do you love premieres or like secret screening, like preview screenings?
When I was younger. When I was younger, I mean, yeah, but now I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm just.
I think you were with me when we went to see Asteroid City, right?
Oh yeah. See, I love that. Yeah, just
in that little theater. I think.
Yes, Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we went to go see it the Wednesday before it was supposed to premiere in Germany, and like it was this very small theater and like rickety theater, but like the atmosphere was so electric
Hmm.
because all those people were like big Wes Anderson fans, and so like
Yeah.
you could just tell that everyone was just waiting for this.
Yeah, and you feel that energy and just that,
Yeah,
and that's the thing because like when it's like those type of screenings, people are quiet. They
Yeah.
just they know like, and then when they laugh, everyone laughs together. It's like it's a great it's a great unifying moment. And I do want to talk about this because I mean it is like I think it's a unique experience, the drive-in, like
true.
that, and because it's something that I just when I used to live in the US, it was so part of my childhood. Just getting with your friends or your family, you all getting in your car and you driving, getting to the drive-in, you sneak in the snacks because you're not supposed to. And then before the movie starts, the kids would get out, just run across the field and, play around. Then when the movie starts, we don't pay attention really to it. We're all just talking, having fun, listening to the terrible sound quality. And then, and then like, and then watching the extraordinarily dark movie because it's so, no matter how nice how much they put the bulb, it's still dark when you get on the screen. And then the worst is when it rains and then you can't.
Can't
That's
see it
what
anyway. Yeah.
that's how I saw. I saw Godzilla 2000 raining in the drive, but I still had fun, and that's something which I have to say. Drive-ins are not about the movie; it's about the experience.
That's true. That's very true. Um, yeah, that I have not gone on a drive-in as much as I want to. I guess Germany didn't have that many drive-in theaters while we were growing up.
Oh yeah,
You don't have the space, especially by where in the suburbia that we're at.
no,
Uh,
I'm from Ohio, so it's a lot of nothing.
yeah, I mean, I want your thoughts on because full disclosure, London and I went to go see The Creator last year in ScreenX together.
Mhm.
What was your thought on that? Like just wrapping, like having the movie wrap around the sides.
To be honest, I could have done without it.
Could done without it. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I thought it was that's what I was actually surprised how like um underwhelmed I was because the creator is a perfect movie for that
Great movie.
theoretically. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the action is brilliant and the action is it's a very like atmospheric movie. It's very broad and very big, and the battles are very epic, and then and they have like so much of that. Yet I'm just like I'm gonna been fine with just the screen.
I think honestly, because I went to also go see an IMAX, I think that was a cooler experience because everything was in that widescreen. The biggest issue that I have, especially with these like specialty formats, is like people have decided that it's okay to change formats mid-film for no reason. So like you'll go on an IMAX film, and then all of a sudden you'll go from like an IMAX to regular 16:9, and it will change formats. And I noticed it right away, and it annoys me so much. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gets me with some of these. I thought ScreenX was okay. I thought it was fun. I think you should do it at least once in your life. I think it's like interesting. It's an experience. Yeah, I don't know. But I agree with you, London. I really love the energy. Like that's why I love going to Betty Nala every year because there's the energy of going to see those movies that haven't come out most anywhere else, but you're watching them as part of the first people to watch it. And that energy, that excitement that's coming in, no matter what kind of movie it is, I think it's absolutely brilliant. But I do understand sorry, I'll say one more thing. I do understand like going to a movie theater alone. Like there is some kind of cool like vibe to it. I've done it a few times, and especially if it's a good movie, it's just like it's so much fun to just sit there alone in the theater and go, "Yes, this is exactly what I needed." Like it is the soul. I need this like soul, like this like singular experience of just me. So yeah, I just wanted to say that as well. Not to not validate what you were saying.
I think we should bring back Scratch and Sniff. Thoughts?
Oh, 4D. We should do 3D. We should have 4D, but everything that's 4D also is in 3D as well. So you have to be at the 3D plus the
I gotta be honest. Like, uh,
Really?
40 theater, just like it depends on the kind of 4D theater.
I never want to watch a movie for the first time in 4D.
Like, especially like if you're like theme park 4D, where like they have the stick in the back and like the air in the bottom of your feet. I hate that. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. You know what? I love smell-o-vision style of things, where it's like just the smell and the atmosphere brings you in. That's pretty cool. But like it as with like most formats, it has to be substance over style with film, for me at least.
Yeah.
The way in which you shoot a movie 100% needs to be influenced by the way that because of what the story is telling.
Spy Kids 3D Game Over was definitely filmed and shot with smell-o-vision in mind. Let's be clear. So I think we should be giving props to movies that could take these kinds of things into consideration ahead of time.
Ridiculous. I don't. Yeah, you know. I went to see Godzilla in 3D IMAX only because it's the first movie in 3D IMAX that's been in 3D IMAX for a while, and it wasn't a great film. But
when
3D
Godzilla smashes people and crushes them, the chair will snap in half in that moment to give you that same
in the
exact
4D,
feeling.
yeah. So we just the whole audience dies basically.
Not dies, just severely injured.
Oh, that'll be nice and smell-o-vision. You get to smell Kong. Oh yeah. Every time he roars, you get to smell his breath.
Oh. I
brushes his teeth, Cameron. Calm down. He's a civilized ape.
So basically what I'm hearing is just watching movies is great. You should just go into a movie theater to watch a movie. Doesn't really matter.
Well, I watched American Fiction on my computer. I mean, so
That's fair.
I think you should just watch movies.
But I think that like there is
anything other than that TikTok. Now where the attention spans go, eh?
Well,
I'm glad that Biden signed that bill to ban TikTok, poisoning the youth. And I would know because I'm not one of them, and I'm not poisoned.
Tic-tac-toe.
I saw. Oh yeah, I sent you that meme. That was absolutely ridiculous. Nancy Pelosi going TikTok, tic-tac-toe. Like, no, stop, no.
I was listening to a podcast and I thought they summarized it perfectly. It sounded like your parents saying, "Oh yeah, you're angry. Well, now you're grounded."
And that's rough. Does not help at all. No.
But yeah, but also that's why I have a projector in my apartment just so that I can watch movies on big screens. So I love that.
I'm kind of interested in setting something like that up too. Sounds really nice.
But yeah,
I think we found the perfect way to watch a movie, everyone.
Woo!
Yes, smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision, 100%. But anyway, that being said, next London, you see this little logo. London, if you can point to that little StreamYard logo, other side. If you would like to get that away, because we're forced to have it on screen because we are using the free version of StreamYard, please consider becoming our sponsor, and we'll put your little logo right up there.
Not that I don't want people's money, but I also do like the duck. It's like the extra member. It's like the extra member of the podcast. I always forget it's mirrored. He's like this little dude, right?
That's fair.
But he's also just watching us, judgingly.
You should be like right on that side, looking at us. Now he's looking away, like he's ashamed.
Just quack, you know.
Does not want to be involved at all.
London, thank you so much for coming on.
Hooray!
I appreciate it. Hooray! I really hope that you come on again, that you don't hate us after this. It was absolutely.
I'd understand.
What'd you say?
See after the editing, like God, he breathes a lot. You're gonna call me afterwards. London, you should get that checked.
You breathe? That's embarrassing.
I truly had a blast today. Don't forget, guys, in 2 weeks, Puss in Boots 2?
Yes. Well, okay. It's Puss in Boots 2, but like you don't need to see the first one. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, now available on American Netflix. I don't know how it works internationally. Actually, here's actually a good important notes that I wanted to bring up. On Friday, at least in America, Friday, May 10th is the last day Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is on Netflix, or at least it leaves that day.
Isn't it going on Peacock or is it
Oh,
on Peacock? Oh,
I think so. That's where a lot of DreamWorks movies are. So
yeah.
probably
Because aren't they owned by Universal?
You
So.
got it, Kim. You got the big brain for these things.
When am I going to talk about Civil War? I guess I'll put that on a list of movies, but I think we have the next couple of films boxed out. I think we'll talk about it when. I don't know. Have you guys seen Civil War yet?
No.
It's a really good movie.
I mean, no.
But yeah. So on that note, on the no note, that's London. That's Justin. I'm Cameron. This is the Capcom Podcast, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.
I'll miss you.
Bye.